for the rest of us. Healthcare workers have put their lives on the line, and it matters. And it really, really matters. And I think the American public is beginning to understand just how consequential you are. You're used to going to the doc, but they're not used to the doc going into a tough area.
Modernizing the Social Security Administration's technology and improving the program's customer experience and equity. The 2024 budget includes $15 billion in discretionary budget authority for the SSA. That's up slightly from the 2023 request of $15 billion made last year. So let's go over the ways that the new budget aims to bolster the SSA. First, the budget provides an increase of $1 billion, or 10%, from the 2023 budget to improve customer service at SSA field offices, state disability determination services, and teleservice centers. Much of the money will go toward adding staff with the aim of processing more cases and reducing wait times. It would also advance equity and accessibility. The goal here is to make things possible and give people the money they need. So that's good. We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. There's a ton of news, everybody, about the fourth stimulus payment that you have to know. So continue watching this video to learn more about this. It's worth as much as $4,500 are getting about to be sent out to the deposited, and millions of people's bank accounts at this too. Now, Joe Biden is also taking action right now. He's taking action for the American people. He's put forward a new plan that would address Social Security and Medicare. So be sure to continue watching to see what President Biden's going to do to help you guys out. And now today, Joe Biden called for higher tax on the wealthy Americans to boost Medicare as part of his 2024 budget, aiming to help fund the program for at least 25 years. And according to the White House, the plan would increase the net investment income tax from 3.8 to 5%. That's including regular income, capital gains, and his so-called pass-through business income, which flows to individual tax returns. Even with the enacted Affordable Care Act, the net investment income tax currently applies to earnings above $200,000 for single filers and $250,000 for married couples filing together. The plan to bolster Medicare's financial health comes as the nation's old age safety net programs are under financial strain, as the baby boom generation is retiring in force, and as the cost of healthcare has rapidly increased. Under current spending patterns, Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund will be depleted in 2028. That means the portion of coverage which covers hospital stays and other costs will face a 10% shortfall starting in 2029. The proposal echoes other ideas from Democratic lawmakers on stabilizing Social Security, which is also facing challenges to its trust fund, potentially leading to a cut in benefits. Bernie Sanders, an independent from Vermont, and I'll also don't forget about Elizabeth Warren, introduced legislation that would stabilize the Social Security Trust Fund for the next 75 years. Their plan involves raising taxes on people earning more than $250,000, as well as introducing a new tax on investment and business income, which currently is exempt from the Social Security tax. The White House said in a fact sheet, since Medicare was passed, income and wealth inequality in the United States have increased dramatically. By asking those with the highest incomes to contribute modestly more, we can keep Medicare program strong for decades to come. The plan also aims to expand Medicare's ability to negotiate prescription prices beyond the measures enacted through the Inflation Reduction Act. However, Biden's plan is unlikely to pass in a Republican-controlled House of Representatives, as lawmakers grapple with the decision of whether to raise the debt ceiling, and there are concerns about Social Security and Medicare cuts, despite support to preserve the program during Biden's State of the Union. In a January interview, Kevin McCarthy had said that Social Security should be completely off the table during the debt ceiling negotiations. So the Biden administration recently introduced another part of its plan to lower prescription costs, and while the Department of Health and Human Services announced timeline for the government to begin negotiating prices and prescriptions on consumers' behalf. According to new administrative guidance, the Health and Human Services will start taking up and talking with high-cost manufacturers in September and setting new prices. This news follows President Biden's signing of the Inflation Reduction Act, which states that Medicare can negotiate the price of certain prescriptions that don't even face generic competition. And now there's only one day left until millions of Americans will see their monthly Social Security checks hit their accounts. So hopefully you guys can receive your stimulus too.
Thank you all for your patience. Secretary Raimondo, thank you. Before I begin, I'd like to speak very briefly about today's jobs report that was just been issued. We received more good news. In August, the economy created 315,000 new jobs. The great American jobs machine continues its comeback. American workers are back to work, earning more, manufacturing more, building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. But with today's news, we have now created nearly 10 million new jobs since I took office. Nearly 10 million jobs, the fastest growth in all of American history. In August, we also saw that the share of Americans who are working on our economy went up. Economists call that labor force participation rate. Working age women are now, for the first time, back at work at rates not seen since before the pandemic.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, like a lot of others, had a chance to be at home last week. Won't surprise you to know that everybody's concerned about inflation, food prices, gas prices, and without exception, every employer I ran into, whether it was a large business or a small business, was having difficulty getting people to come back to work. A real dilemma, and I think all of that is a result of the $2 trillion the other guys dumped on the economy last week against the advice.
Last month, the government reported America's employers added 428,000 jobs in April, leaving the unemployment rate at 3.6%, just above the lowest level in half a century. Hiring gains have also been consistent in the face of the worst inflation in 4 decades, with employers adding at least 400,000 jobs for 12 straight months. The government's May jobs report will be released tomorrow, with many expecting that 400,000 jobs added streak to be broken. This week, a separate government employment report said that the number of job openings across the economy went a little bit lower in April, but remains much higher. A big update on changes to Social Security, SSI and SSDI. The U.S. Treasury Department just released a brand new statement in regards to whether millions of Social Security recipients will see a benefit increase or a $1,400 stimulus check. According to an updated report published by the government earlier today, the Social Security Trust Fund that most Americans rely on for their retirement will be able to continue to pay out benefits on a timely basis until 2034. That is 1 year later than the Treasury Department estimated last year. This improved analysis, signed by Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Labor Secretary, projects that the government's disability insurance program will be able to pay full benefits over the next 75 years. This is the first time Social Security officials have issued such a rosy outlook since their 1983 report. Last year's report estimated that the Disability Insurance Trust Fund would be depleted in 2057. The department said that Medicare Part A will remain fully financed through 2028, 2 years later than previously expected. Yellen and Walsh expected and explained that the improved outlooks for the various funds are due to a faster and more robust economic recovery from the crisis. 2 White House officials wrote the main reasons for the small deficit are a stronger than expected recovery from the crisis-induced recession, higher expected levels of labor productivity, and lower future disability incidence rates that reflect recent experience. The Treasury Department looks after 2 Social Security funds, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance and Disability Insurance Trust Funds. 2 programs were created to provide a source of income to former workers who have retired at the end of their careers and to those who cannot work due to disability. According to the official statement by the government, changes were made to near-term economic data and assumptions reflecting that the recovery of employment, earnings, and GDP from the recession has been faster and stronger than projected in last year's report, resulting in higher payroll tax receipts and higher revenue from income taxation.